I want you to think for just a second about why you're here. If you've signed up for beauty school, there's a reason. And is it because you enjoy the people? Is it because you want to be involved in the business aspect of it? Or is it because you've decided that this is how you're going to make a ton of money? Well, I don't know if I can promise you that, but I do want to talk to you about how to have a business, to own a business, enjoy the people, and make a lot of money. First, let me begin with my story. I wanted to be a beautician from the time I was a little girl. And to make a long story short, 1989, I ended up in beauty school. And with the hope of enjoying a business while being a mom. Back in the day, when you graduated from beauty school, you were a licensed cosmetologist. And you were not able to be a registered cosmetologist until after you'd worked under somebody for a year. I worked in a salon with 18 other women and one male hairstylist. And it did not take me long to realize that that was not for me. The drama, the backbiting was more than I could take. I was pregnant while I worked that year, for part of that year, and as I was finishing up my year and applying to be a registered cosmetologist, I had every intentions of going back after I gave birth to my first child. When they placed that little girl in my arms, I knew there was no way I could leave her with somebody else. And so the answer for me was to open up a salon in my home. Now that may not be the answer for all of you. And some of the things that I'm going to share with you today maybe only apply to owning your own business. But a lot of it will apply to no matter how you decide to work in this business. So I opened up my salon, and what I learned right off the bat was it was so important to be firm but flexible in a lot of different aspects of this business. I'm going to talk to you for just a second about scheduling and how important it is to be flexible in your scheduling. I can set my own schedule, and I love to be able to say when I'm going to start and when I'm going to be finished at the end of the day. Nobody else tells me when I need to work. I also can book out if I have appointments or if my kids had activities. It was really nice to be able to just say that this is the hours that I worked and then schedule my appointments around that. But one thing that you have to be aware of is that you're very loyal to your customers. No matter how firm you are with your schedule, you've got customers who have schedules as well, and they're loyal to you for a reason. And so you have to return that loyalty by being available when they need to have their hair done. And the nature of this business, you are going to be getting phone calls, and there is a major hair emergency. Kind of like
right
this
there,
one.
Bring out the middle of your finger, and then like do it like this, and then like wrap it around. I think that this is what makes the curls look prettier, and like wrap it up. And then count 20. Count 20 or longer.
She says count 20 or longer. I love her face. This is just classic.
Oh my god. Kidding me. My hair is burnt.
And that is when your phone starts ringing. So it's important to be flexible, but it's important to be firm. Your time is important too. When I first started into the business, I made a decision. I'm a religious person, and so I made a commitment to my Heavenly Father that I would not work on Sundays. And then I asked Him to bless my abilities and bless my business. This has proved to be a great blessing in my life. I don't care if you're religious, and I don't care what your limitations are, but stick to them. And don't let anybody, if you need a Friday night off, if you're not ever going to work on Saturdays or whatever those limitations are, Set those limitations and then stick to them, because that's where your sanity comes in and your time is important. I get to set my own prices, and I need to be flexible with those prices. The most important thing that I have learned as I have worked in my own business is there are going to be times when you will have an opportunity to give. I know that there are clients that come into my salon that deserve and want more than they can really afford. And so I've often given to them the family and friends price of a service that I offer. Now, I don't do it all the time, and I listen to my heart to know which clients I feel like deserve or need that. And a lot of times they'll say, no, I'm not going to let you do that. And I'll say, hey, listen, this is my business. I'm the one that sets my prices, and you don't have a say in it. And so it's really important to be open to giving. But then it's also very important to cut your losses. When you have not necessarily hair disasters, but when you've got things that happen that you learn a very valuable lesson, it's important to just cut those losses in, even if it wasn't your fault. Let me just give you an example. I had a client who came in and she asked for a perm, and I've been doing her hair for a year or more, and I've been doing perms for years, and so it just didn't scare me at all. We haven't been doing perms a lot lately, but I still do them, and I enjoy doing perms, and so I wasn't afraid to do it at all. Well, we did the perm, and she left, and we used a bigger rod, so she just wanted a nice wave that she could scratch some curl into, and she went home, and a couple days later, it was straight as a stick. So I said, come back in. She came in and she showed me. I said, come back in. Maybe the perm solution was bad. I didn't know what was going on. But we re-permed her hair, and it looked good, and she went home a week later, straight as a stick. Not even a wave you can scrunch in. I was just baffled. I refunded her money, and then it dawned on me that night. The first time we had permed her hair, we had quite a conversation about a diet that she was on. And the hormone that she was taking is a pregnancy hormone. You probably all heard of the HCG diet. And it was a hormone, a pregnancy hormone. And I learned in beauty school, I knew without a doubt that pregnant women can either take the very best perm of their life, or they can not take a perm at all. And that women are cautioned when they're pregnant not to get a perm, because you aren't really ever sure how the hormones in your body are affecting your hair. And so I got online and I started researching some stuff, and I found an article about the HCG that said, do not take the chances of getting a perm while you're on this diet because of the pregnancy hormone. And it made complete sense as to why we had such a perm failure. And I wanted to let her know, and I wanted to be able to share that information with people out there so that then she would, know not to go somewhere else and try and get the perm. And so I called her and let her know. She said, oh, I feel so bad. This is really my fault. Please let me come back and give you your money back and pay for this. And I said, absolutely not, because that money was worth the education that I received. And so sometimes we've got to cut our losses. Now, our prices need to be firm. Your training, your expertise, and your time are important too. So make sure that you don't sell yourself short. Don't set your prices too high, especially in the beginning when you're trying to establish a clientele, but don't sell yourself short. Don't make yourself cheap so that people feel like they're not going to get a quality service. And if I can leave nothing with you except for this little piece of advice, please, please pay attention to this. Retail wisely. Now, let me just tell you what I mean by that. I had a great retail business. I love to retail. To me, retail is just talking about the products that you're using, talking about why those products are so important, and then just offering the products to the clients. It is such an easy thing to sell retail for me. Until I get into a community where there's a lot of beauty supply houses and a lot of people have licenses, and for some reason in this area, I just was baffled by the amount of clients that would say to me, oh, you know what, my last hairstylist would just get me all of the product at cost. Or my cousin has a license and she's more than willing to get it for me. Can you just tell me what I want, what I need? And I understand that, but if all of the hairstylists stick together and we all retail wisely and we make what we offer valuable, then we're not ruining the industry when it comes to retail. So please, please when you offer wholesale prices to one, you end up offering it to everybody. Now, family may be a little different. I'll let you decide how you want to set those limitations. You know, maybe you can even just mark it up instead of the suggested retail price. Maybe you could just mark it up a little bit for your time and effort, because I don't care if it's family that you're giving it to. It still takes your time, your effort, and your expertise to be able to get that retail for them. So don't sell yourself short and retail wisely. That's so important. Our business is an intimate business. That's just how it is. You will make some of the funnest, most lasting friendships doing what you do in the hair business. And I encourage you to really, really embrace that portion of our business. Know and use names. I can't tell you how important this is. There's nothing more embarrassing than having one of your clients standing over you as you're making her next appointment. You've just spent an hour with her, and you cannot think of her name as you're getting ready to write it on the card, and she has to say, "My name is Kim." And it's so embarrassing. But if you're in that service and you're saying her name over and over, then you don't have those embarrassing moments when you can't remember their name. So say and use names, and make unconditional friendships. I had a salon owner that I was visiting with one time. She'd been in the business for a lot of years, and she said that when young girls would come to her and ask about becoming a cosmetologist or a hairstylist, she'd say, "Don't do it." And I said, "Why?" And she said, "'Cause it's so hard when you've got clients or friends or even family who you see and on the street and they've gone somewhere else and got their hair done. It's just, that is just so hard for me. I just can't take that." And I thought, oh, you should have got out of this business a long time ago if that has been a problem for you. Let me just tell you that now. If that's a problem for you, find another business, because it is so important to just have unconditional friendships. Everybody has their agency to go where they want to get their hair done. They are not obligated to come to you as a friend, as a family member, as a former client. And you have to be okay with that. And don't let it be awkward. If you see them out in the public, walk right up to them. Ask them how they're doing. Give them a compliment on their hair. It's not that hard. Do not let it be awkward. Make unconditional friendships. But the most important thing about relationships, and the firmest thing I can offer to you, is confidentiality. When we put my last salon in, we were trying to decide on a name, and my husband said, "I think you should call it the confessional." Like I said, this is an intimate business, and clients feel like they can open up to their hairstylist. It is just the nature of this business. And I want to stress how important it is to have strict confidentiality with your clients. Often I have said to my clients, I want you to know that what has been said in this room stays in this room. And that if it gets out and you hear that other people know about this, you will know for certain that it did not come from me. And I think that my clients probably know that that's the case, or they wouldn't trust me with such intimate information. But I want to make sure that they hear it from me, and that they know that what they say in that salon and the conversations that we have are strictly confidential. I had one customer who every single time she sat in my chair, she'd say, "Okay, what's the gossip? What's going on in town?" And I'd say, "Well, my son had a spelling test yesterday and he did really well on it." And she'd go, "No, come on, I want to know the real good stuff. Tell me what the good stuff is." And I said, "I'm sorry, but you won't hear it from me." And I just can't stress that enough, to be so, so careful about the confidentialities. Heraclitus said, "Nothing endures but change." I have a client who just recently decided to change her hairstyle. The most important thing that we can understand about change is that we have to adapt to it. This is a changing business and we have to adapt. This client of mine started having sensitivities to the hair dryer. She had been having her hair done once a week with a roller set underneath the dryer for the last 30 to 40 years. But her sensitive scalp was it caused us to have to really look to see if we could do something different, because she just was really uncomfortable sitting under the dryer. And so we looked through pictures and we found something that she liked, and I styled it and I showed her how to style it and how to keep it up through the week to see if it would last. Well, what I forgot to tell her is that you can't treat a style that way, that kind of style, the same way you've been treating this cemented, back-combed shampoo set that you've been used to for the last 30 to 40 years. So she left the salon that day. She was so excited about something new and this great change in her life, and it was kind of moist outside and there was a chance of rain, and so she took this little nylon cover that she'd used for years, put it over her head, tied it up, and went and ran her errands. She had to feed the neighbor's cat, she had to wash her car, she had to put gas in her car, and she got home about an hour later and there's a mirror in her front entryway, and she undid that little nylon neck cap and she took it off, and her hair looked like this. And she said she laughed until she almost wet herself. If we don't adapt to the change, we might end up with disasters like this. So I just want you to be firmly flexible, and I want you to know that nothing endures but change. Good luck, and thank you.